Project Part 2. Remember, we're doing these projects in parts. I still am missing a lot of y'all's from Friday. If you've not submitted from Friday, if you were absent, if you haven't looked at it, you're going to need to do that because you have missed the first part. Second thing, we have this case study. That's what you picked up when you walked in on paper. You will submit it. It is not due until Friday, okay? So basically the weirdness of this week, I have to take y'all back there in chunks, and a lot of you can't do much until I get you back there. So if you're sitting up here and it's not your turn, you are to be working on your case study. Now, some people actually finished it first period, fine, turn it in. If it takes you all the way to Friday to finish it, fine, but I'm going to grade it. It will go on this 6 weeks. Make sure it's in there. It should just be an easy daily grade. It's due by Friday, all right? Now let's go back to the crime scene project. So, go ahead. All right. So on the crime scene project, let's read what it has for us. It says, do not do this piece of the project unless you finish Friday. So that's kind of a lie. If you're in here, you need to do this with me today. So go ahead and draw what I'm helping you with. But as soon as I'm done talking, go start working on Fridays. Then it says you will need the how-to slides provided from last Friday to know all the facts about the case that you will need to complete. So this presentation I gave you on Friday has all the case facts, has the location, has our victim's name, has all that stuff. So I just re-gave it to you so you don't have to go back and find it from Friday. So go ahead and click that first link. It should open you back up to where the same thing we had on Friday that had all this information about the crime. So you need that open. Then it says you will turn in this piece of the project today. Most days of this week, you will turn in a piece of the project that will be worth your 6 weeks test grade and a daily grade. So that's just reminding you. Turning in pieces every day. Today, we will draw the crime scene sketch. So we're going to draw it together. I'm actually going to start almost all of it with you. I'm going to help you back there. I would say this is like the most difficult part just because you've probably never built a crime scene sketch by yourself before. So I basically walk you through it, do it with me, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, so you should have a piece of paper out and be ready in just a second. Now for what has to be on that sketch, go ahead and open this doc. So the second link, second and last link, you have that open and it tells you exactly what has to be on our sketch. So all these things need to be on the sketch. It's what you're going to check off and make sure is on there before you turn it in today. I have the second slide that kind of just reiterates the same information, but slightly different. And then there's an example, making sure that yours looks pretty much like this. Not the exact same. The evidence is nowhere near, like we don't have these same pieces of information, but it's showing you that you'll have measurement lines. You're going to have furniture drawn. You're going to have the doors labeled. You're going to have the length of the room and the width of the room labeled. You're going to have all that stuff on your sketch. So it'd be a good place to make sure that yours has all the same kind of information so you don't lose points. All right. So now all that's really left is I'm going to walk you through a lot of it. Okay. So you have your piece of paper out. Now yours is hopefully going to end up being neater than mine because I'm on a smart board. It's hard to make these look neat. Hopefully yours looks a little better. If you would like a ruler, you may have one. If you want to get like nicer, neater lines. Now I'm going to start listing some stuff. All right. So this you can already start into pudding, but I'm going to tell you what it is. I have an area measured out. Don't make this tiny. I had some people last period that like made it this much of their paper. Don't take up the 1/4 of your paper. You have a whole paper. So either lengthways or longways, but it should be a pretty big portion of your paper is your sketch. And it's going to be 300 by 400 tall. So it should be slightly smaller in width than it is in length. Now, when I measured back there in the back, it literally is 3 meter sticks wide and it's 4 meter sticks long. So that's what the size of our fictitious apartment room is that it's 300 by 400. So go ahead and kind of try to draw that. You will label the best you can at about where you think the 100 would be and about where you think the 200 would be. And then for the length, the same thing, about where you think the 100, where the 200, where the 300 would be. Put them about where you think they are. I'll give you a second while you draw that. Ooh, not like hot. Why? Guys, real drawing in the back? This is me walking you through it. So it should be drawn. There's paper right here. We could have been ready. Now, if you have those, your key and your case facts doesn't have to be to the right like mine is. They technically could be anywhere in the page. It could be at the bottom or the top, depending on where you left the most room. If you tried to mimic it like mine, it'd be the right, but it's not. That's just because that's how my smart board is kind of set up. It's wider than it is long. You put it where it fits nicely on your paper. You should have a key spot, so a place where we're going to put all the evidence. Why is it no longer white? There it goes. And then we're going to have a case spot where we put all our case facts. Those things are always required on a sketch. So for our key, I have it already on the board for you. So from last week, if you forgot, number 1 was the body. So when we get back there and we look at the numbers again, the body is labeled with a 1. Like, not perfectly writing on it. Number 2 was the knife in his foot. That was number 2. Number 3 was the bullet that was behind him.
What is the first one say?
The body. Number 4 was the blood spatter on the wall. The blood spatter on the wall. Number 5 was the iPhone that was on the counter. Number 6 was the pliers. Doesn't really look like the word pliers. It's really hard to write on these. Number 7 was the bag. So there was like a duffel bag kind of under the table. Number 8, there was a safe inside the cabinet. Number 9, we're still going to say is unknown until tomorrow, the next day. So there is a 9. You'll put it on your crime scene sketch, but we don't know what it is yet. And number 10 is the tooth. It was the little tooth that was near the bullet. Okay. Now, for this information, I'll give you a second to find this. You should have already opened it. Remember, I had you open Friday's PowerPoint with all the case facts? So the case number, that was the top of your thing from Friday. The north, we're going to say, is up, even though it's probably wrong. But I have so many kids in different locations this year, we're just going to say north is up. Date and time. Remember, that's always now when you're doing anything of these kind of sketches. Just making sure my internet's still on. So it's always right now. So right now is 10. The date is October 26th, and it's 9:36 o'clock. Okay, so it's 9:36 on 10/26. The location of the crime is where it actually happened. So remember, we're not in Azle High School where you're pretending we're actually on this crime scene. I gave you the address. So I'll just pull up Fridays, that PowerPoint, then you write the address of that location, that apartment in Dallas. And the sketch artist is you. I'll give you another second if you need to look those things up. Today's date, 10/26, 9:36. O'clock. All right, I'm gonna go get the measurements for the tables in the back, and that's gonna be the last part that I do with you, is where exactly are the tables and things. So let's see. This table.
Dude, it's on the thing for day. Lewis said Monday, 10/26 on it.
Okay. So the last piece before I just start sending you back there to look at where things are at, we're going to put the tables and the entries and exits in the right spot. So one of the things that is required in a crime scene sketch is all big furniture has to be drawn. It doesn't have to be perfectly measured, but it should be in about the right spot. So I did like eyeball measure back there and kind of wrote it down so we could put it in about the right spot. And then the entries and exits, so like windows and doors. So I did add this morning, I said that the exit door was right here at the front. So if you remember from our eyewitness, Phoebe walked in and said that she saw the man standing over her husband, and then he left out the back door. That's the back door. Okay, so she saw him turn and run out there. Now the front door, where she would have been entering, was about here. Okay, so that would be their front door, like where she's opening. They actually step inside her apartment for the first time. And they have a side door or outdoor, whatever you want to call that. There's a side door out. Now, if you're thinking apartment, those usually go to like a balcony. Okay. And then lastly, for like other things that are in the room, over here, oh no, it like shifted. Don't want that. How do I shift it back? Okay. So like around here, there's a hallway. Because obviously the kitchen is not the entire apartment. So there's a hallway off to the side leading to the other rooms and things of an apartment. Okay. So we got 2 doors and a hallway. Now we're going to put the tables in about the right spot. So we have 2 tables. One I labeled back there as our pretend kitchen table. Okay, because we're in a kitchen. The second one we're going to say is like the kitchen counter, where it has an actual sink and all the things that a kitchen counter would have. All right. So the first table is our kitchen table, and it was about 240 down from the top. So that'd be about here is where I'm going to make its height, or where I'm going to make it start, and it's about 120 to 150 from the side. So that's about here to about here, and it's only going to go up to there. So I'll put, it only goes this high. It doesn't go to the whole length of the wall, and it's about this long. Now, if I wanted to be more particular, I probably would have went back and made it look like the shape it is. It's an octagon, but I'm not at the moment. I'm just going to label it as a kitchen table. So again, where did I put it? It starts at about 120, and it goes to 250. I'm the width area. It's about 120, about 250. It goes from the top, so if I'm going from the 400 up here, it doesn't start till about 240. So if I already have those things labeled out, that's kind of about the size it should be. You could probably shift it. I'm going to leave it up for a while. Now the next table above it is the same width, so I can keep this width going on, but it's going to be going all the way to the end, and it starts at the 180 down. So this would be like be about here.
Kitchen table. Hallway.
Yeah.
Door.
Now, if you look at it, it looks like this table is a little longer. It should be. If you look back there, it goes into the wall. So like it is longer. It should look a little longer. So this is our kitchen counter. Okay, so we have our kitchen counter, we have our kitchen table. There we go. Now, when you get back there for the rest of it, you'll kind of put things approximately where they should go based on where the tables are at. So like for an example, the 8, the safe over here, is technically in the cabinet of this table. So like I'd put the 8 here and kind of point under it, saying it's technically under the table in the cabinet, but that's about where it's at. So for the rest of what you're going to do when you get back there, it's just you're going to put the numbers of our already done key about where they're at. Now you do have to do 2 actual measurements. I think it froze. So you have to do 2 actual measurements, meaning like measuring in centimeters like we did when we actually practiced this. Yeah. Freaking internet.
Would you know? Or just probably.
Don't know how that video will be done. It's like an example, when we get back there, I know that we're going to measure the man's foot. Or really, usually it's their head. We usually measure to a person's head, but being that he's in a chair, that would be awkward. So we're not going to be measuring up high. We're just measuring to his foot on the ground. So about where he's at, he's in the second table. So you'd put like a little man here. Do, 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 do. And there's be his foot. And you'd put a number 1. We're going to be measuring this actual length to his foot. And I actually already have that taped down. So if you have that in about the right spot, all that's going to be left for you to do is you're going to actually write in the centimeters. Now, don't write this isn't right. Well, I'll go back there and you can look. But let's say it was 320 centimeters. Well, that's what you would write on the line. If it was 12 centimeters there, that's what you'd write on the line. You're about to go back there and see how far it actually is, but you'll write that down. Okay? All the other pieces of evidence, you're just going to put approximately, except for the bullet. So there is a bullet back here that you will measure accurately as well. So you're going to have one accurate rectangle method, and you're going to have one accurate triangle method. So I'm pretty sure it's like about here. It goes from the table to the wall. The bullet was what number? It's number 3. And you're going to write the measurements on that. All the rest of them can be approximate, but those 2, you're going to actually write the measurements on it, saying exactly how far they are. Now, in a real crime scene, we would measure every single thing and be a lot more tedious than this. But I only have 45 minutes of you, and I barely finished last period. So it would take me weeks if I made you do every piece. So I'm only having you accurately measure 2. What?
This is a terrible kitchen, so I would never.
It's not a great apartment. What do you know?
Yeah.
All right. So now I'm going to start taking y'all back there. For the virtual kids, I am going to be sending y'all pictures of the rulers like in the right spot so you can see the measurements.